So, hey, whether you're watching the recording or here on the live stream, I'm Julie Johnson. This is the Mindful of Race book club, and kind of a meditation practice is kind of what it's becoming. Um, so today we're going to start with a grounding exercise, and then we're going to move into affirmative breathing. And then we're going to move into more of a mindful reading, I guess. So I'm going to read the book. So let me show you the book. This is the book by Ruth King. Okay. And we're going to go through, I'm going to read the book out loud. So it doesn't matter whether or not you have the book. Okay. And then we're going to do a little meditation on leaning into resistance, okay, in a way that it goes to our edge of our consciousness, but then teaches us to also stay mindful and in our bodies without going into what Ruth King calls race rage, okay? So we're gonna do this through the lens of mindfulness, okay? This is mostly for white people, or white folks. Although if you are a person of color watching this, feel free to reach out to me, and I would love your feedback on how we can make the content, how do I say this? How we can make this space available to you, or if however you want to give me feedback on some things you might want me to put into this series. So as we start, we're gonna start on our blocks, okay? Or actually not on a block. You might want a bolster or a block to start. You can come into any comfortable seat. And really today we're just creating space to plant seeds of awareness around how we can heal our history of bias through meditation and mindfulness, and also look to how we can show up and think about the common good collectively, okay? Thinking about our common humanity, the things that make us similar, and the political things that unfortunately are our realities that we have to address, okay? So let's begin. At all points in time, I want you to do what's comfortable for you in terms of meditation. If you need to sit against the wall to breathe more, or just to feel supported as we move through some of the reflections, please sit against a wall, lay down, and just listen to me. So I'm going to be going back and forth between being close to you and then doing the meditation further away so you can see my posture and see the whole body, okay, if that's available to you. Okay, so let's begin. Okay. All right. So first off, let's again come to a comfortable seat. I'm going to sit on a block with my hips on a block, and with my legs kind of in a easy seat, but touching the ground. This position is like the traditional meditation position, but you might find something else, maybe laying down, is more comfortable for you. So come on in. Oh, I think someone popped up. Hi, Cece. How are you? Hold on.
I'm good. How are you?
I'm so glad you're here. This is my super experiment with touching this topic. So
yeah.
we're building kind of like a it's going to be a book club for now, but it's essentially going to probably be like a meditation practice going forward. So people don't have to necessarily read the book. I'm just pulling aspects from the book out because I think that's where we're at.
Yeah.
So yes. Do you have any questions at all before I start?
No, I don't. I just downloaded the book. I just briefly, skimmed it. Just those, pretty heavy stuff, huh?
It is. That's why I was like, I think we need to, I emailed Joy. I was like, I think I just want to like make this a Sangha. I don't know if you're familiar with the Sangha. It's like a Buddhist, it's just a Buddhist meditation circle and centered around the book. And so then I would pull information from the book in order. And we would just, it's just pretty much going to be breathing and meditation today. And then it's going to be an introduction. And then I'm going to read chapter 5 of the book, which kind of sets it in motion.
Right.
And then we're going to just do a little like leaning into resistance kind of stuff. So that way it's our own process. And we kind of pull our own reflections from it. So
okay.
Does
Chapter
that sound
5.
good?
Yeah, I know it's just like a little heavy, but I'm like, well, I signed up. I better I got the book, so I guess There
was a lot of interest in it, and there was tons of interest. And so, I'm kind of, I tend to kind of push, and I was like, we kind of need to go a little deeper than just having some donations. We need to go a little deeper in consciousness here.
Yeah.
So, and I think doing it in a way that, that's how I did it. So I started doing a lot of I had a Sangha that I was a part of back in 2014. And that's kind of, actually, Alicia was in it too. That's how I knew Alicia. And we kind of started to kind of go around it too. And I think we're going to that's the direction we're headed in. So that way it's still meditation, but it's our own process.
Yes.
And, we're kind of expanding consciousness, which is what Joy of Yoga is all about. And, so we can just kind of sit and lean into resistance in a way that's regulating to us. And, we kind of are in that space of just like yoga, where we're softening and strengthening at the same time. It's just a mental practice, So anyway, that's kind of the layout I have of this. Thank you for being so brave and courageous.
Well, thank you for offering it. Yeah, it's like, it's brave of you too. I mean, it's all, we're all trying.
And I think that's the thing for me is I've done a lot of work around anti-racism, right? And and for me, I've always been frustrated. Joy and I talk about this a lot, in that the language around it is really can be really aggressive and for good reason, and I get it, but it can make people not want to come in. And that's why I love the meditation and the mindfulness aspects of it, which is why I love Ruth King, because she's so great with it. Like she's she's a Black woman, and she's so compassionate in the way she lays it out. She doesn't give anyone any hard space, she doesn't let anyone off the hook, but she shows you the issue, and then she's very compassionate in the way she lays out the information. So anyway, so it is brave. And so I was like, but now's the time. I don't know what else other time we should do it.
Right. So
that's where we're at. So just find a comfortable seat. That's kind of where I started. So find a comfortable seat.
So it's just me and you? No one else is doing?
Right now. Next week, we're hopefully, it was like, I had a feeling it was going to be like, we're really interested, but like, we're a little bit scared to like figure this out. So this is like a big experiment. And I just like literally on the way home from Colorado, I like emailed Joy and I was like, I think I don't want to do a book club. I mean, I want to keep it around the book, but I think I just want to do it as a meditation class, but using the book as the framework and anchor. So I restructured it.
I like that. And I did see, I was looking at her chapters, and so she does get into the meditation.
She does.
And I think it might begin in what chapter? Oh, chapter 6, establishing the daily meditation. Yeah.
Yeah. And so what we're going to do is we're going to do some breathing. We're going to do some breathing. Next week, we're going to do loving kindness meditations, which I know you've done with me. And then, but right now we're just going to set intentions and just kind of get used to our bodies being in this material. So That's all that today is. It's
Okay.
just, and maybe we might do a leaning into the resistance reflection after I read part of the chapter, which is by Kristen Neff. She's the exercise. She's the girl. She does the mindful
Okay.
compassion stuff. So anyway, so yeah.
Very good. Very good.
So thank you for being so brave and doing this. And let me know if you have any, like I said, please, it's a, definitely it's a process. It's more interactive than I think the average yoga class is. So anyway, so
well, I love your people. I mean, Alicia, and I think Jesse is in your circle.
Yeah.
Yeah, good people. Yeah,
and
I really enjoyed Jesse's meditation. Yeah, I did her meditation this morning with her
good.
on Mondays.
Yeah, and then Samaya is helping. We bring in Samaya into the yoga support psychotherapy to bring her. Speaking of this, I mean, she's kind of, we have 3 women of color teachers here at Joy of Yoga. So, so I was telling Joy, I was like, we have, and Joy agreed. She we wanted to do something. And so, I have a lot of practice with it, and I have a lot of language around it as like a white person. So, and I've done a lot of work in the school systems around it. So I was like, we need to do it. It's going to be a little bit, we just got to get a little uncomfortable, but that's what we need to do. So that's how we raise our consciousness. So so Samaya is bringing in her 2 cents on the yoga to support psychotherapy. She's putting in the racial trauma piece, and she'll be presenting on that with us. And yeah, so it's going to be really cool. So it's going to be a really good, we're heading in the right direction. It's just the direction that, we all need to go in to evolve, right?
Right. Yeah.
So anyway, so let's go ahead and start. Oh, where did my book go? Hold on. I was like, I had my book, and then, oh, there it is.
This is something simple, but when you're setting up your Zoom, I'm like, okay, where do I want my picture so that, you want it to be up high? Like,
if you feel like you want to turn it off, that's fine. Like, feel free. You can.
No, I want to be with you. I feel like I'm with you. Not that, that really matters, but.
Right. No, but it's true. No, it's true. Okay. So let's just go ahead. If you feel like you want to mute yourself, if you want to do breathe, it's up to you. It's totally up to you. You can mute, unmute as you want to. So your choice. All right. So we're going to do some grounding. Come to a comfortable seat. And as you're ready, we're just going to start off like I start out with any yoga class I have. Just notice what's going on in the room around you. Where is your body in space? Is there any mental chatter of how we think this should look like or how we think we should show up? Just sort of see if you can breathe some space into the chatter. Fade out what's going on around you in the room. See if you can, again, take any inhales and exhales and draw them into your head, into your mental space, creating space for new thoughts. You don't know what you don't know, as one of my mentors says. So breathe in, create space for the things you don't know yet. As we set a space to expand our aperture and our consciousness around healing any racial wounds, biases through a compassionate, mindful practice. There's no right or wrong way to do the work, to do this kind of work. It's really just all about noticing our bodies, noticing our responses without judgment or shame or guilt. And then, to quote Maya Angelou, once we know better, we do better. And we can't know better until we create a space for contemplation. And contemplation can be an act of love. Actually, there's a quote that I'm going to read by Tara Brach. It's sobering who's also she's a Buddhist psychotherapist that I really like, and a meditation teacher. It's sobering thought that the finest act of love you can perform is an act of service, is not an act of service, but an act of contemplation, of seeing. And when you serve people, you help support, comfort, and alleviate pain. And when you see them in their inner beauty and goodness, you transform and create. So I just really like that space and that quote, because it helps just really bear weight to just creating a contemplative practice around this topic, being mindful of race, and that we can be mindful of race without it being about racism, okay? And just creating space to understand that. And that's what I like about this book. So moving into where our body is in space, notice all parts of the ground where your body meets the ground. Find those places. Maybe there's 4 points, maybe there's 3. Remember, the ground is always there beneath you to refer to. If you ever get lost, you can always put one hand to the ground, if just to stabilize yourself, your mind. Or you can always bring one hand to the heart and one hand to the chest. Just with an affirming, compassionate touch to remind yourself of your courage to do hard things. And we can do hard things. And as we're ready, we're going to do some affectionate breathing. Just to remind us where our breath is, and just to be mindful of what we call the yin breath, okay? And the yin breath is just our conscious, slow, cool breathing, okay? Letting our bodies know that it can breathe us. And I also love breath practices, especially around race relations and topics, because the breath is the one thing that is in our common humanity, okay? That is one thing that is not different regardless of the color of our skin, class, or thought process. The breath is with every single one of us, regardless of how we show up in the world, right? So breath practices are an essential part of this process, because it's our common it's a part of our common humanity. So find a posture in which your body is comfortable and will feel supported for the length of the meditation. Then let your eyes gently close, partially or fully. Take a few slow, easy breaths, releasing any unnecessary tension in your body. And if you like, try placing one hand on your heart and one hand over your chest, as a reminder that we're bringing not only awareness, but affectionate awareness to the process, to our breath, and to ourselves. And not only to ourselves, but the world around us. And you can leave your hand there or put it down or at any time. Notice how your body is being nourished on the in breath, and then relaxes on the out breath here. Bringing to mind anything that nourishes you. Hold that in your mind, in your attention, that thing that nourishes you. Maybe it's a bath or a shower, a plant. Find that thing, and then know at any point in time when we do our reading or other meditation practice on resistance, You can always go back to your source of nourishment. Picture it in your head, or feel into how it feels to have that thing near you. How does it feel in your body? Or whatever that thing is. You can go back to it as a resource in your head at any point in time. Know that you have control over the dial tone, especially when you notice the chatter. Know that you can always go back to that resourcing, okay? Something nourishing for you. So then see if you can just let your body breathe you here. Maybe you still are noticing that thing that's nourishing, or maybe you're just noticing that nice cooling yin breath, our conscious breathing that we all have, that unites us as humanity. No matter what we're white or black or brown, we all have breath in our bodies. And we can learn to use our breath as a source to connect us as we explore the things that also have separated us and created barriers in our consciousness to connect to one another. Now start to notice the rhythm of your breathing, flowing in and flowing out. Take some time to feel the natural rhythm of your breathing. Feel the whole body subtly moving with the breath, like the movement of the sea. This is another anchor point for you. If at any point in time you can't find that thing that's resourcing, the breath, your yin breath, is another anchor for you. Now your mind will naturally wander like a curious child, just like it does when you're doing something hard. So whatever happens, just gently notice that and then bring your mind back to the breath, your nourishing point of attention, memory, person, plant, dog, pets of any kind. Then allow your body to gently be rocked and caressed internally by your own breathing. You're here being courageous. And know that as we do courageous things, your body is still breathing you. The ground is beneath you still. And if it feels right, you can always, at any point in time in this class or in this next 45 minutes, give yourself over to the breathing. Just breathing, being and breathing. And now gently release your attention on your breath, sitting quietly in your own experience, allowing yourself to be with whatever it is, just as you are, knowing you're enough just by being here. And there's no right or wrong way to do this. It's just showing up, right? Just showing up. And as you're ready, you can open your eyes as we move into our intention setting for this practice for the next 6 weeks, if you're with me for that long. So, or just for today, what do you want to get today? How do you want to feel? How do you want to widen your aperture? It might be something like I want to be more aware of my bias. I want to notice my own judgment of other people, or I want to understand my own culture as a white person, knowing that I'm a part of a culture. Or I just want to be able to sit with this and not feel fear, like I'm doing something wrong. If you're not. Those are just a few intentions. Or may I feel courageous? May I know my culture? May I just be able to sit here and breathe and lean into resistance without judgment? Those are just a couple of options and wordings. Pick any that feel good to you. Some of them may not be yours. So it might be something else. And if you don't know, that's okay. You don't have to set an intention. Sometimes just being here is the intention, right? So just notice that. And then as we move into the reading, feel free to come to a comfortable, you can lay down as I read these parts of the chapter. I mean, it's about 3 or 4 pages. And as we go into that part of the reading, chapter 5, I'm not sure if we're going to go in the order of the book. I think now that I'm in this new format, I'm just actually gonna pop things out thematically. So I'm gonna read the book, and then if you would like to listen to it laying down or just with your eyes closed, or maybe you want to journal any insights that come to you, just notice that and pick a choice that serves your ability to reflect and expand consciousness, knowing that you can go back to your breath and our resourcing point at any point in time, that nourishing memory or plant that we have. All right, this is chapter 5. Life is not permanent, personal, permanent, or perfect. Okay, here's a quote. Nothing we see or hear is perfect, but right there in the imperfection is perfect reality. Shunryu Suzuki, Zen monk and teacher. These are the words of Ruth King. I'm reading, author of Mindful of Race. As we begin to turn our attention inward, we often feel the soreness, tenderness, and vulnerability from the habitual ways we have met the rough edges of racial distress. And it's easy to feel overwhelmed. And although these feelings may be difficult to metabolize, it is possible to do so. Our thoughts and feelings are not permanent states. Rather, they are crucial experiences to attend to. And it begins with understanding our minds. This is the role of mindfulness meditation. Mindfulness has its roots in the 2,600-year-old tradition of Buddhism. The practice of mindfulness meditation supports us in experiencing more mental ease and harmony. It does not help us get rid of racial ignorance or ill will, nor will it erase anger or despair. Rather, it offers a way for us to slow down and investigate our experiences with care and wise attention. It supports us in bearing witness to our racial distress and conditioning without distortion, elaboration, or judgment. We can notice, for example, how racial perceptions live, what thoughts we're going to give birth to, and how we feel thinking about them. And we can acknowledge when we get stuck and discover what supports letting go. Simply stated, mindfulness is the practice of present moment awareness with an understanding that what we are aware of has a nature or what is known in Buddhism as the three characteristics of existence. One, the nature of impermanence. Change is constant, and all phenomena arise and pass away. Number two, the nature of selflessness. There is no enduring or reliable self. We are a series of ever-changing elemental processes, all arising and passing away. Who we are emerges out of interrelating causes and conditions. And the nature of unreliability and dissatisfaction, aka shit happens, we are not in control of having things go our way. These natural laws, core to the nature of our existence, can offer insight into how we relate to racial distress. Specifically, what supports more distress and what supports release from distress. Despite the painful truth that racial injury, ignorance, and injustice have spread virally throughout the world, the three characteristics of existence stand. I have a simple mantra for remembering these characteristics. Life is not personal, permanent, or perfect. These natural laws are true to all existence. They are like gravity, and gravity has a nature. It's not personal. And once you understand gravity, you do not drop a glass and expect space to catch it. Seasons also have nature, and they are not perfect or permanent. Once you understand the seasons, you know how to dress and go into the world. And as the story goes, everybody is a genius. But if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will live its whole life believing it is stupid. Fish have a nature. Fish exist in water. Fish do not climb trees. Relatedly, race is not who we are. Race is a social construct that points out to the nature of diversity. In and of itself, race is not personal, nor is it a problem. The problem is how we perceive race, socially project onto race, and relate to race as if it were personal. All our individual or racial group experiences, permanent, the idea that views our race never changes, or perfect, the idea that whatever is happening should be to my liking or meet my standard of what's right. We are all perfect in our imperfection, and what is always changing is always changing. In the Zen mind, the beginner's mind, Shiniru Suzuki puts it this way. What we call I is just a swinging door which moves when we inhale and when we exhale. And when we don't recognize or comprehend the true nature of all existence, racial distress proliferates. And over the years, reminding myself that life is not personal, permanent, or perfect has kept me from falling into sinkholes of despair and destroying rooms with rage. It invites me to pause and turn inward. It gives me a chance to ask myself, what's happening? Where are you gripped right now? And are you taking this situation personally to be a personal experience instead of a human experience? And how many people before you have felt this way? Do you believe that how it is how it always will be? Are you distressed because you're insisting that the situation be other than it is right here and now? How can you care for the pain you're in at this moment if that's indeed true for you? Sometimes people who have been repeatedly and deeply harmed by racial ignorance and distress think this approach sounds too passive and too compliant, or those that have been around people with racial ignorance. They may feel they are giving up masking or glossing over injustice. But that's not it. To embrace our true nature is not to deny that racial injustice is not a pandemic in society, or that certain racial groups are not, in fact, targets of harm. It's about embracing the truth of what is actually happening in the moment with an understanding of its nature. It's impossible to be biased when we are unaware of how we've been conditioned in racial likes and dislikes and fears, aversions, and judgments. In other words, racial distress is a real experience, and how we relate to racial distress is habit. Instead of being fearful of other races or convinced we know everything we need to know about race, an exploration of racial conditioning or habits of mind can be a gateway to deepening our understanding of humanity. We are shaped by our conditioning, but we are also shaped by wise understanding and the quality of our awareness. And when we cause much unintentional harm, entrenched beliefs and closed minds are what wars are made out of. We can also cause unintentional harm. Our challenge is to become more aware. Mindfulness meditation is a practical way to transform our understanding and actions. It's not just a technique or a mental exercise, it's a radical practice of self-compassion and respect that supports us in softening the rough edges of racial distress. So we can untangle our habits of harm and respond to racial distress more wisely. And I would go as far to say that we need these practices to support us in staying present to the horrors of racial suffering and experiencing freedom from it. Yes, I said freedom. Knowing from the inside out, momentary freedom is a potent stabilizer when facing racial distress. Another way to say this is that through mindfulness practice, we can know increasing moments of freedom within racism and despite it. This law of all existence is difficult to grasp in the heat of racial distress. However, with a mindfulness practice, we begin to recognize through our direct experiences that we can now know a deeper freedom, a freedom that is not dependent on outside circumstances or being different. Addressing racism requires a multitude of individual and relationship interventions. Sometimes we need to speak out and organize. Other times we need to resist systems of oppression. There are also times when we may need to seek a good psychotherapist to examine our stories, unpack our traumas, and recognize the relational source of our wounding. Mindfulness meditation allows for yet another opportunity, wise awareness. And without wise awareness, habitual patterns rule our lives. Our mind wraps itself around our views, our perspective narrows, and we tend to feel dead right, or just plain dead. With a mindfulness practice, we learn how to get still and simply receive the present moment without preferences. We become interested in what's happening right now and the impact it's having on us. And in this potent pause, we can speak. Is how I am thinking and feeling contributing to suffering or to freedom? No amount of racial warfare or social resistance is more healing and sustaining than the freedom each of us is capable of experiencing internally. Despite our circumstances, through mindfulness meditation, these practices can brighten the mind, soften the heart, and allow us to see more clearly our reflection and that of the world. With such clarity, we can do what must be done with care and understanding. So let's just take a minute. That was a lot of words. And just go back to our yin breath that we were doing earlier. Just kind of do a reset before we go into our resistance practice. Find that nourishing breath. Notice that your body is breathing in and breathing out. Notice how your body is nourished on the in breath and relaxes with the out breath. Now for a few moments before we go back to we're going to go through our leaning into resistance exercise. Just let your body breathe you for a few moments. Remembering that contemplation, according to Tara Brach, is an act of love, right? Just creating space to contemplate. Water that space in your mind and body for contemplation. Water that space with your breath. Give a compassionate, put one hand on your heart, one hand on your chest, if that feels good to you. Feeling into the ground beneath you, knowing you're supported in this process. And there is not one person on this planet that is not impacted by race in some capacity. And there's truly no right or wrong way to do this, regardless of what the internet says. That we just need to show up with a compassionate heart, curiosity, and space to grow into freedom, and noticing what's contributing to our suffering around racial reconciliation, racial healing. Now, as we're ready, we're going to move into our resistance reflection here. And then we'll just do some reflection together before we close. So what we can feel, we can heal, right? What we feel, we can heal. How are you doing?
Yeah.
Doing good?
Yeah.
You're doing okay? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool. Awesome. I just didn't want to keep going. I just want to check in. Okay. But you're doing okay?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Do you want to do a check-in after that? I mean, maybe we should do a check-in before we start.
Okay. Okay.
How did that hit you?
I like the life is not personal, permanent, or perfect.
Mm-hmm.
I like that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I can take that into my own life too. You know, how you can take things so personally,
Mm-hmm.
and nothing's permanent. And there's
Mm-hmm.
nothing. Yeah, I like that. And just mindful of what's happening now internally.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess really in the end, it is all about internally. It's about us. It's within us to make the change. So
yeah, absolutely. And and that's, and that's why I loved leading this process, because that's how I've done a lot of my work. It was in a Buddhist Sangha, and that was the real revelation to me, because I've always worked in like Black communities in my job, and I always thought, I didn't even think about race really until like the Ferguson stuff happened. And I was like, oh, I never thought of myself as a part of I mean, there was a culture, like I have kind of a European descent, obviously, but I never connected myself to the racial body, which is such a very so I've learned such a like a very individualistic white thing to even think is that we are a part of a whole. And
Right.
that was both healing for me and also really
Mhm.
opening for me.
Right.
You know?
Right. Because whether we want to believe it or not, we've all been trained in our own, you know, how we were brought up. Um,
Exactly.
you can't escape that, but recognizing it is the first thing.
Exactly. And it's also recognizing it and also like normalizing it. Not to make it normalized like it's all okay. But
No, no,
like,
but
like
just like,
what were you gonna say? Go ahead.
just, well, it was just there. It was like not making it like okay, but at least recognizing it. So the first thing for me would be like just to recognize it. I taught
Hmm.
in Cahokia, and so most of my kids were Black.
Hmm.
Um, I didn't start teaching until I was 42, and
Okay.
I was just in awe of being there because I had always been just with white people. So I
Sure.
really enjoyed, the culture and didn't understand it, but liked it. It was just different. But
Hmm.
I I just I didn't really understand what was going on in their lives. I was just coming in and doing my job and then leaving.
Yes.
And, you know,
And
that,
that's such a common story. I mean, like
mhm,
it's such a common story for teachers, and
mhm,
so I mean, so it's brave work, and I think that's the thing is you just don't like. I mean, I didn't even think about it when I was going into homes in North County and North City at
right,
my job,
right.
working for First Steps. I was like,
Mhm,
I just look back now, a decade ago, and I was like, oh my God, I just was
yeah,
like, with so much compassion. It's like literally, you don't know. Like, what did she say? Once you know better, do better. And then there's like with some compassion, it's like, oh my God, the people that like I worked with, like, oh my gosh, like there's just so many things I would do differently. Like looking back,
right,
from a racial lens, from a more like from a
right.
very aware lens,
But
so
you were doing the best you could. We
right.
all were doing the best we could at the time. It's
Totally.
not like we weren't, maybe we were ignorant, but
Yeah.
not to say that mean, but we were doing
No.
the best we could, and we were
Right.
ignorant to their plight, to
Right.
what.
Uh, and that's why I like Ruth King's perspective on conditioning. I really like how she puts it into conditioning because that's exactly what it is. It's
Right,
conditioning.
it
It's a
is.
conditioned way of thinking. It's like what she calls the
Hmm.
monkey mind in
Hmm.
from a Buddhist or yoga perspective. It is. It's
Yeah.
that default
Hmm.
smaller thinking, that chatter
Hmm.
sometimes that we don't know where it comes from. And that's
Right.
why I love doing this work through the lens of mindfulness because race isn't bad. Like she said, she's like noting the diversity and
Hmm.
differences is great. Noticing that we are
Hmm.
different is great.
Right.
But when somewhere along the lines, in our development and consciousness, especially for white folks,
Hmm.
race became because of the shame from our own
Hmm.
white supremacy,
Right.
it kind of
Or
became something we
shame.
just don't
Hmm.
talk about.
Right.
We just don't deal
Hmm.
with it because that's them over there.
Right.
And and so there's just a lot to reckon with. And then now it's like, well, but we are different, and like we are, but we're a common humanity, and we all
Right.
breathe, we all have bodies, and the things that
Hmm.
make us the things that are common among our humanity is awesome, and the things that make us diverse is also great too.
Uh-huh.
And we need to hopefully they can all be together, but we also
Hmm.
have, in order for them to yoke together, we also have to acknowledge what separates us and where the barriers are. And that's what I love doing this through, like the mindfulness attention, and how she kind of lays it out in this
Uh-huh.
chapter.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I think she does a really good job really creating a space for expansiveness for sure.
Hmm.
So let's move. So we have a couple of ways we can do this. We can end with loving kindness, or if you want to go a little bit further, we can go into the resistance, but we can always leave the resistance for next week. So just let me know where you're at. What suits you.
Let's end with loving kindness.
Perfect. Let's do that. That's what I
Yeah.
thought too. I started going through it, and I was like, I think I kind of had two ways we could do this. I was like, we could go
Yeah.
for it, or we could,
I always like to say less is more, and because that's a lot.
it's
That's a
such,
lot.
it is a lot. That's why I started like
Mhm.
talking to Joy, and I was like, I think I want to like take this back to doing it like as a Sangha,
Yeah.
because and doing it through the framework of the book, because the book
Mhm.
is really good and it's meaty, and I've read it twice.
Mhm.
And I was like, you can pull like 5 pages, and that's like enough
Mhm.
for, I mean, that could be enough for someone for like, for a while. So
Right.
and it's like
Right.
dosing it. So yeah,
Mhm.
so I thought so yeah, so let's do that. And yeah, let's find a comfortable seat, and we'll go through a loving kindness meditation.
All right.
Sound good?
I like
Let's,
that. And I
cool.
liked your intentions. I liked how you said, may I feel courageous. May I
Mm-hmm.
know culture. May I be open to understanding. Yeah, I like those intentions. Yeah.
And that's sometimes like that's where it's at, and I think
Mhm.
where's my loving kindness stuff. And one thing I also love about the book is how she has like the exact same meditations that I actually do in my meditation classes are the
Right.
exact ones that she has. That was so
Mhm.
so amazing. And I love that she brings it back to a that she actually does do a loving kindness practice in the book that
Uh-huh.
I think is awesome, and it's really well done. So we're going to bring the spirit of that one in here.
Very good.
So just, yeah, so come to a comfortable seat, and we'll go with it. Sound good?
This was really good, and yeah, I'm surprised more people didn't, because this is just good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I knew it was going to be like this. I knew
Yeah.
I was going to be, I'm used to being this person. I was like, this is not my first
It's a
time in the,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
in this rodeo.
yeah,
So I think people are interested, but they're a little, it's just, it's a heavy topic, and the way that it
yeah,
has been done
yeah.
in other circles, it can be really
Mhm.
aggressive and
Right,
really daunting. It's like people mean well, but they need a space. So that's why I was like,
right.
we're just gonna do it for this first 6 weeks. We're gonna do it again, but I just wanted to get my feet wet with it.
Mhm,
But I think as I go through it, we're actually gonna turn this into like it's just gonna be a meditation practice. And I
mhm.
might bring in different people and different
Uh-huh.
mostly around this book, but I think we're just gonna do this through a series. So
Yeah,
ongoing.
I really like the chapter though. Life is not personal,
Hmm.
permanent, or perfect.
Or perfect. Hmm.
That was
I love
really
it.
good. That was
Well, and it also puts it that race is just one of those. Not that it's like anything else, but like I know it feels big right now, but it's one of those things among other things that we also need to heal as well. You know what I mean? So it kind of puts it in perspective that we
right.
can change the perspective. That we have the power to change it. We can change our perspective on things. We can do healing around our consciousness around us, just like we
Yeah,
can do healing around addiction, and like
right,
our traumas. It's
right,
that same thing we
right,
can do healing around.
right.
So, all right. So we're going to go through the practice, and we'll end with this and a little bit of breathing, honoring our courageousness in these very uncertain times. It's really we should be proud of ourselves when we find the courage in our systems to even be open to this. So as you sit in the essence of your genuine care, can you use your entire body as you repeat the following phrases silently to yourself, allowing each word to touch you with care? May I be safe from inner and outer harm. May I be happy and content. May I be healthy and strong. May I live with ease and well being. May whatever blocks my heart be dissolved. May I know joy and freedom. May I have food, shelter, and good care. May I be free from animosity and hatred. May I know peace. May I be a good friend to myself. Now, we're going to move our attention to someone that might look or live differently than us, with a different skin tone, maybe a different way of life, maybe a little bit of both. And we're going to offer them loving kindness to them. So we're going to say those same words to that person. Hold that person, student, neighbor, someone in your head, and we're going to offer this to them. May you be safe from inner and outer harm. May you be healthy and strong. May you be happy and content. And may you live with ease and well-being. May whatever blocks your heart be dissolved. May you know joy and freedom. May you have food, shelter, and good care. May you be free from animosity and hatred. May you know peace. And may you be a good friend to yourself. Notice how it feels in your body to make this sincere wish, continuing offering these phrases that work for you. Take a few moments and sit in silence to feel the kindness of your genuine intent to offer metta to this person that looks and thinks and lives differently, maybe at a different side of town than you, in a zip code that may not be as lucky as yours. And if it feels appropriate, you may wish to ask this person for forgiveness for any way you might have caused harm in the past. Feel free to honor that. You could also thank them for being gracious for your learning and to being wise teachers in your racial healing. Now let the image of this person dissolve. Return back to noticing your own body sitting. Just stay with the stillness of your body and the movement of the breath. Now notice that the person that looks and thinks differently than you is sitting beside you, offering you loving kindness back. Don't be in a hurry. Just notice that you're both breathing and offering each other goodness and feeling into your common humanity despite the connective barriers. Now moving on to extending kindness to all beings, everyone. Just as you wish things for yourself, remember that all beings, without exception, are worthy of kindness and well-being. Consider your family, your community, the entire human race. Take some time to imagine the extent of their suffering and notice how you are touched by it. Then reflect on your sincere wish that they be free from their own suffering, their own racial suffering, and that all beings, without exception, be free from racial suffering. Then we're going to offer the world these phrases. May all beings be safe from inner and outer harm. May all beings be healthy and strong. May all beings be happy and content. May all beings live with ease and well-being. May all beings live with an open heart. May all beings know joy and freedom. May all beings have food and shelter and good care. May all beings be free from animosity and hatred. And may all beings know peace. May all beings be good friends to each other. Then extend goodwill outward indiscriminately. Notice how it feels in your body to make this sincere wish for all beings. And that we are all worthy of feeling at home and a sense of belonging in the human family. When these phrases naturally subside, rest in the radiance of metta, such as the practice loving kindness, noticing the quality of the mind and heart. Just take a few yin breaths, noticing the difference between how you started this practice and where you are at the end. Feeling into metta. When the phrases naturally subside and rest, radiating in this practice, noticing the quality, your mind and heart. Where are you? How's your breath? Knowing that just being here alone is honoring your highest and best good. And that it may not always feel comfy, growth doesn't. But when we can do metta and honor a feeling of expansiveness that comes just by getting a little, going into the unknown waters, we are creating new neural pathways that will help heal not only ourselves, but the world. And if we can heal ourselves, we can plant seeds to help heal our very chaotic, fractured world. Breath by breath, expansiveness through expansive thought. All right, take a nice deep cleansing inhale, and then an exhale. Bringing one hand to our heart and one hand to our chest. Honoring this space, this process, showing up to merge into our highest and best selves. The teacher in me honors the teacher in you. Peace or namaste.
Peace. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Do you have any suggestions at all for next week or?
No, I liked how you did the reading and the setting of the intention and the meditation, kind of the meditation to start. And I think we did a little, we started with a little meditation, right?
We did an affirmative breathing exercise. So
Yeah.
I'm making it so 75% of it is meditation, and with a little bit of discussion, and check-ins.
Yeah.
And so so thanks for being the guinea pig for this.
You're
awesome.
welcome.
This is great. So this framework is working then for you?
It's good.
Okay.
Yeah. Just
awesome.
Trust yourself. Always
good.
Your third eye, just really trust you. You have the answers. You know what you're doing. Don't doubt yourself.
Cool. Awesome. Well, hopefully we'll come back again next week.
Okay. All right. Thank you,
Awesome.
Julie.
Thank you so much. Have a good one.
You too.
Okay. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.